Dan Orlovsky's on the line with us, and I was unaware of this. I'm aware,
truly bad opinions yesterday.
I'm aware that we live in a hot take society, but this is a piping hot take where I believe he's BSing his people. Let's get to Dan Orlovsky. He's brought to us by DraftKings. We've talked about coffee, Dan. We've talked about all this stuff. Joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline, Bounce Forward. Dan, what is it with the everything bagel now? Now you hate the everything bagel? What's going on, brother?
Well, listen, man. First of all, if I'm being just completely transparent, I don't eat bagels that much just because I don't really eat that much breakfast, and I don't eat a ton of bread. It's beach season, waits for nobody, Farzetta. So, I don't smash a bunch of bread. But if I am going to eat a bagel, there's a 0% chance it's an everything bagel. Here's my thing. If I want a bagel, just going to go get myself a good bagel, a plain bagel, since that's what they were invented for, toast it with some butter. I'm not going to take this bagel this bagel sucks, so put all this seasoning on it so it doesn't suck as much. That's what an everything bagel is.
Wow.
Do you not believe in condiments either?
No, I do. I mean, I'm a simpleton when it comes to run from that. I use food as fuel, strictly for fuel most often than flavor.
See, I got to admit, I'm the guy, I'm eating for pleasure a lot more times than I'm eating for just flat out hunger. So that's where maybe that's why you're in better shape than I am.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, exactly. Dan, always great to have you on. And I know we were talking about this a little bit last night. I didn't say anything that we had kicked around last night, but I do want to just start off with this. Carson Wentz, 3rd and 3 to Jalen Reagor on the pick play, rub play, whatever you want to call it. Doug Peterson said yesterday during his press conference that was on the receiver not making a good enough block in that scenario. I thought initially it was a late throw from Carson Wentz. What did you see?
No, yeah, Doug's right. I mean, that concept. So first of all, the formation starts with Rodgers on one side by himself. That's the indicator that it's man coverage. If you had gotten zone coverage where a corner was out covering Rodgers, then there would have been the concept would have gone Rodgers to Goddard to the back. That would have been the zone beating concept. So once you get the man beater, you've got a zone beater on one side, a man beater on another side. And Bradbury cover on the outside, he's all the way on the outside. He's got Bradbury covering him. He's really going to take one step. He literally has one job. He's not even running a pass route, is to go at Bradbury. And the number one job is to make Bradbury come underneath him. Because if Bradbury goes underneath him, Jalen Reagor's already won then. You're just trying to catch the snappers, and then you get your completion. The only thing that Fulgham can't do is to allow Bradbury to play over the top. He did a nice job of just at the snap, hopping back a step, that was 2 feet or something, and he plays over what Travis Fulgham's trying to do, which is his wide and release, pick, rub, whatever his job is to do to get in the way of that defender. And the reality was Bradbury made his play, and Fulgham did not make his. The clutch from Carson is because Carson's anticipating that the pick is going to happen. It's you don't really read Bradbury at all. You're just seeing that color, you're seeing that mesh, and then when it doesn't happen the way your eyes are expecting to, it's like this reaction to try and get it on Reagor's back shoulder. So credit where it's due. Bradbury, nice play, but if we're going to point fingers at why the play wasn't executed as well as it should be per the offense, it's on Fulgham from the slot.
All right, speaking with Dan Orlovsky on the Comcast Business Hotline, Bounce Forward. Overall, there's been a conversation that started about Carson Wentz and sloppy practice habits. I don't know if you saw that report, got it down yesterday, and Doug Peterson shot it down. What did you make of something like that being said?
Yeah, I mean, that's always he said, she said, or he said in this case. So, listen, I have absolutely no idea what practices are like. All I know is if the practices have been sloppy, then that is 100% on coaching. 100% on coaching. That you don't allow practices like that to happen. Not that practices have to be perfect. You want them to. Especially earlier in the week, practices are never perfect. If the ball hit the ground on Friday, I'm not talking. If the ball hit the ground on Friday, he would start practice over. Now, that only happened one time. If I was in Houston with Matt Schaub, where we started a practice on a Friday in game 7-on-7 and in game week. I'm sorry, and then 7-on-7 period comes. And it was 3 straight incompletions. He brought the team up and started the whole practice over. And so if there's a sloppy practice, it starts with the coach. You don't tolerate it. And then, yeah, at some point, the quarterback takes that leadership role over, or some other players, and say, but right now on that offense, it's got to be the quarterback or Kelsey, and going, no, guys, this is not how we practice. We've got to do everything the right way. So, you know, I always caution reports and whatnot. If the player and the coach shoots it down, for a person like me, I only can take them at their word. But I know this. If the practices are sloppy, that starts with coaching and the being tolerant of it.
Dan, we often talk about players getting in slumps, no matter the sports. It could be a quarterback, it could be a running back, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. Is it fair to say, or I ask you, is Doug Peterson in a play-calling slump?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. You know, I don't know Doug personally, but my job is to just be so, you know, I think that if you go back through the years, Doug was this guy that was really creative as a play caller and kind of inventive with the way that he went about seeing the game, and was always, you know, if you go back years, you know, something that he did, it was Golden State Warriors, where like there were so many of these at the line of scrimmage or easy throws for a quarterback that, yes, there are those, right? And they get the ball to the quarterback's hands, and then those playmakers made some plays, or it was those shots downfield. There was never really that intermediate game, certainly not as much as there is now. And nowadays, it seems that like they're just trying to find things that might work rather than calling things that you know will work. It's almost like sitting there throwing stuff against the wall and hoping that it sticks. And it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like it doesn't make a ton of sense when I see two guys sitting in the same zone, or when I see one person's depth at 13 yards, and it should be at a more consistent kind of leveling when it comes to that stuff. And so, and then the fact that, you know, when he came out and said, you know what, Carson's pretty good out of the pocket, I should do more of that, it just took me like by surprise, because, you know, it's one of those, how does nobody see that? Like, how does Doug – listen, Doug's got a lot on his plate, right? He's the head coach. He's not just a play call. How does he not see it? Or how does a Press Taylor not see it? Or Marty Morningweg? Like, how does someone not see, hey, guys, this guy's really good at this stuff. Like, we should do this a lot more. And so, you know, then the last thing I'd say about it is this. I want everyone – you guys might know it a little bit more intimately than me, and probably people listening, but, like, just close your eyes and think of the last time that you remember a single play where an Eagles receiver caught something short and took it long.
Nope.
You know, like an Eagles receiver got the ball at 5 yards and it became a 40-yard game. Like, when was the last time you guys saw that happen? Go watch the NFL right now. It happens 30 times a Sunday where, like, you're watching these, you know, Green Bay Packers receivers or the Kansas City Chiefs receivers or the Carolina Panthers receivers or the Pittsburgh Steelers guys. Like, these guys take these little easy throws that my kid can make, and then all of a sudden it's 40 yards down the field, and you're like, huh, when was the last time that happened for Philly?
It hasn't happened. I mean, I'm even going back to Deshaun Jackson in the debut last year with against Washington, and those were catches that were in the end zone, essentially, the 250-yard bomb. Yeah. Like, the slant that Deshaun Jackson has run so well to take it 60 yards like he's done against the Eagles in years past, I have yet to see that with anybody on the Eagles most recently, and that's a great point. And you also bring up another one. Doug Peterson is not having a good year in his press conferences. The team obviously isn't doing well, but I have never talked about a coach of any level losing press conferences, taking L's in press conferences. We've heard that there are no layup throws, there are no easy throws in football. He ran out of plays. We've heard about how he regrets not going for it on a 4th and 12 against Cincinnati before the tie happened. Like, it's just been a weird year for Doug, and yesterday was no exception, because you even highlighted it. Getting Carson Wentz out of the pocket works for Carson Wentz. And Doug mentions that. And then Carson, in the following press conference, gets asked about it as well. And he says, the game plan gets dictated by the opponent. And I'm thinking to myself, well, hold on a second. Is Reggie White playing for the New York Giants all of a sudden? Giants do in their game plan that prohibited you from using Carson Wentz outside the pocket in the first quarter. Why did I have to wait till the third quarter for them to actually do that? That makes zero sense to me as well, Dan.
Yeah, there's nothing. You know, the Giants structurally don't do anything. Now, certainly you're going to play some teams. You know, like if you're playing against a team that plays in a 3-4 front, what happens is when you're playing and you present like a base offensive set, you know, really this would be for the Eagles because they don't have a fullback really, putting 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field, you might get 5 guys across the formation or across the line of scrimmage. So that 3-4 will become a 5-2 essentially. You don't love getting outside the pocket on that front because it's difficult to do because those 2 guys on the edge to make it from 3-4 to 5-2, it's difficult to get outside them. But it's certainly not impossible by any means. Like, you can script and design. The defense certainly dictates the game plan. But I always say this, really, 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 really good offensive coaches, they don't allow defenses ever to dictate their plan. Maybe the defense dictates your execution or your thought process, but you don't ever allow a defense to dictate to get onto the offensive of what you do. Like, I'll give you the perfect example. Andy Reid, when it comes to the Chiefs and teams that they've played this year, I'll go to the Carolina Panthers or the Raiders. You know, like, what those teams did was rush 3 or 4 defenders, play a ton of coverage, keep the ball in front of them. Well, then that certainly changes your philosophy of that week. But you don't ever change your identity. You're going to continue to be an aggressive coach and play caller and play designer, but what you do is the execution of it becomes, okay, we are going to get the ball underneath as long as they're going to give that to us, right? They didn't change to this, okay, we're just going to curl up and shell up and become scared of taking our shots downfield. You still call them, but you make sure there's an answer if it's not there. And so with Doug, I would say, like, listen, the defense always affects the expectation of execution, but never the expectation of process. And that's where, like, that should never be the case. Defenses are going to do what they do. You play for the offense. You always stay on the offensive.
Dan, who's having more of a worse effect on the other? Is it Doug Peterson's play calling is making Carson Wentz look bad, or is Carson Wentz's bad play making Doug Peterson's play calling look bad?
Yeah, they're probably taking a good fair share of turns in that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, listen, so for me, just the way I'm wired and the way I see football, I always start with coaching because that's kind of what my main role was as a player in the NFL, was in that role. And so I always go, the coach needs to be doing more and can be doing more. And I don't think, like I said this to you last night, Mark, over our text.
Yeah.
Football is a very simple game. It's just coached and played by complicated people. And so, like, I think it's a very simple process. How many different ways can you get the ball to your quarterback's hands quickly, especially in 2020 when space and rules are in such a benefit? That doesn't make a quarterback any lesser of a player, by the way, for people listening. Like, that's just making it easier for your offense. Like that. And so how many different ways can you get the ball out of his hands to, like, I was thinking this morning, like, why haven't they yet put the personnel grouping on the field of Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Miles Sanders? Why hasn't that, and maybe a tight end or and some, like, maybe you take a receiver and put it, and why has that personnel grouping been on the field? And I'm putting Wentz and Hurts in the backfield at the same time. And I'm actually taking Miles Sanders and putting him out as a receiver type of environment. And I could run plenty of zone RPO things with Carson as the quarterback, Hurts the tailback. He's good enough to take a carry or two, and then space. And I can run these RPO games where, you know what happens? Defenses are either going to play soft zone because they don't know how to adjust to it. So Miles Sanders can get 5 catches a game out in space in that. Like, why hasn't that happened? Those are easy throws. And then that also gives Jalen Hurts a couple carries if you want to do that. You know, and so, like those are these easy things that I'm going, okay, they should be doing more of that. The ball doesn't always have to get shot downfield so much. I would get Carson out. I've been saying this for 3 months, guys. Like, 10 snaps a game. That would be my goal. I need 10 snaps a game where I'm designing Carson to get out of the pocket. Not going to be perfect, but I know that, like, I just trust his feel outside the pocket is really, really, really good.
Is that during the bye week, Doug decided not to use Carson Wentz, not to have him practice before they let the team disperse. And then yesterday he talks about how Carson needs practice reps with Jalen Reagor, and he needs game reps, obviously, with him. To me, it'll bother me forever to not put the work in when you had an opportunity to put work in. Where do you lie with that?
Yeah, you know where I lie with this.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
This should have been a no-brainer thing. There's multiple opportunities where you can get those reps and not tax the body. First of all, these guys had like 7 to 8 months off. You know, they didn't have OTAs and mini camp and, you know, the way that they did. So, like, their bodies should be, especially in this first half of the season, fresher than they've ever been, so to speak, with no training camp, preseason reps that they've been accustomed to. So, like, that's missed opportunities. And the thing is, if you're not going to give those guys those reps again, with all admiration and respect to Doug Peterson, like, you can't use that as a cop-out. You can't use that as they need more reps. You had the opportunity to get that stuff, and you chose not to for whatever reason. And so, those are missed opportunities, and those are reps you can't get back. Like, you can't get those back in a game week against Cleveland.
And then, Dan, you did a brilliant job of just dropping the mic and getting out of here last week, and you're just like, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Good talking to you. Must win by. It was a must win, and because they lost, is this now the Giants' division to lose?
It is. I believe that. And that's why, because the next 5 weeks are really tough, and that's why last week was such a must-win. And it should have been a win with getting healthy and the bye week happening. Because I'll put it like this, Mark. Again, my job is to be brutally honest.
Yes.
For the next 5 weeks, this division is either going to be won or lost, in my opinion. And I put it like this on NFL Live. If Alex Smith plays really good, I don't think Washington's good enough as a team. And if Andy Dalton or whoever plays really good, I don't think Dallas is good enough. So it's going to come down to what quarterback plays the best between Daniel Jones and Carson Wentz. And if Carson Wentz plays really good and Daniel Jones plays really good, I still think the Giants, because they're trending to becoming a top 12 defense in the NFL, I still think because of that, it's their division to lose, so to speak, right now. And all Daniel Jones has to do is just play good. Carson's got to play great. Daniel Jones is going to have to just play good. And I think he's like an okay enough player to just play good.
Dan, did you throw a little eye towards the NBA draft at all last night?
I did, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a jock. So
I got a serious question for you here. 2005, fifth round comes up. Detroit Lions, they say, we're going to take Dan Orlovsky, University of Connecticut. Did you cry?
No, I got at first I was ticked off because I thought I was going to go in like the second or third round. But that was my first like 30 seconds, and then yes, once like my immature kind of ego went to the side, I bawled.
Okay.
I cried.
There was a lot of tears shed last night.
Yeah, I'm a crier though, to be honest.
Are
with
you?
you guys.
You're
I cry
emotional,
about
man?
a lot of things.
I am too.
Yeah, I'm super emotional.
Somebody
dude.
gives you an
Yeah.
everything bagel, you just lose it. It's waterworks.
If someone gave me an everything bagel, I would cry because, like, oh my gosh, I've got to end our friendship, and I'll probably never talk to you again, and something like that.
Dan, you're the man. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it, and always
guys.
good talking. You too,
Thanks,
man.
Dan.
Take it easy. Dan Orlovsky joining us there on the Comcast Business Hotline. Bounce for
Mark Farzetta with Bob Cooney and Jamie Lynch. Mornings on 97.5 The Fanatic. Philadelphia.